welcome back to another new edition of Windows on Current Affairs, and today we talk about the summer tourism 2022 and a lot more in Egypt. Of course, the search engines have escalated this particular season in spite of the relapse in the pandemic once again worldwide. However, in Egypt, the search engines for the summer attractions and the best places to visit have escalated with 15% in Google and everywhere else, according to some statistics. We're going to find out the elements that have escalated those search engines and ranking Egypt on top of the best destinations to visit, and especially after the Golden Parade that took place earlier last year, and also Avenue of the Sphinx that was taken, another golden event or another very popular glamorous event that took place, and many other touristic events that Egypt have effected throughout the year 2021 and 2022. We're very delighted to be having with us Dr. Amr Atef. He is a travel expert and a PhD in Heritage and Museum Studies. Good evening, Dr. Atef. How are you doing?
I'm very good. How are you doing?
Fine. As like I said in the intro, that it was registered that Egypt was ranking on top of the destinations on the search engines for best places to visit in 2022 and during this summer. If you could elaborate over that.
Well, that's very true. I mean, the search engine over Egypt has been escalated 15 to 20% in the last I mean this summer, if we can talk. And the thing is, people now when they travel, they go on on Google, let's say, on the internet, and they check what's going on in the world. And I would not say only internationally, but even today, when we if you want to go somewhere domestically, if you want to go to Sharm el-Sheikh, or if you want to go to the North Coast, if we're talking about the summer tourism, or if you want to go to any place, you go on Google and you check, on the internet, and you check the place and you check the pictures, and then after that you decide and you do your homework before you travel. This has been the trend for the last, I would say, for the last not only couple of years, but it has been the trend for the last decade. For the last 10 years, travelers before coming to Egypt, they've been going on the internet, and internet had made the whole world very small, like a small village, as they say. So they go on the internet and they check and they look and this and that. Now, what happened in Egypt recently increased the search on Google or on the internet over Egypt. So travelers would go and see the parade, the mummies parade, that when they moved the mummies from the Egyptian Museum of Antiquities in the Tahrir Square, with all the ceremony and this and that, and moving those mummies. People, when they come here, they say, oh, we want to go visit the Namek. We want to see where the mummies are. So they go on the internet, they check that, and they want to go and see what happened. And you know what? They know lots of information. They read, and they know lots of information. They know the names of the ancient pharaohs and the mummies and the Namek and the museums. They know that Egypt is opening new museums. There are lots of museums now in Egypt that are, we call them local museums, and this would encourage tourism. So that's one item of the parade, the Mummies Parade, for instance, or the Golden Mummies Parade. If we go on the other big event that happened recently, which is the Luxor ceremony of the Avenue of the Sphinxes in Luxor, connecting Karnak to Luxor, those Avenue of Sphinxes. This ceremony actually attracted the eyes of lots of travelers all over the world. The idea is the ceremony accommodated lots of activities. that it was done in a very good way, because it accommodated lots of activities that Luxor actually applies during for the travelers. So if I mean, the ceremony talked about the balloon ride, the ceremony talked about the Nile cruise, the ceremony talked about visiting the Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens and going inside the tombs. The ceremony talked about the felucca rides. The ceremony talked about, I mean, everybody, I mean, talked about all the elements that were involved in the in tourism or in the tourist act. So this was a good advertisement for Egypt. You know, I believe that this ceremony is an added value for the travelers. I'm talking about the ceremony of the Sphinxes. The government has done a good effort, and everybody, I mean, worked as a team. And the Minister of Antiquities was just talking about, I mean, the team that was working together in this ceremony. So Luxor has been on the Google. We go back to the internet check. So Luxor has been on the Google internet check for the last, I mean, for the last month after this ceremony, and that, I mean, increased Egypt search by 15 to 20%. That's pre-coming to Egypt, but this is a reflection to the travelers that would come. In other words, if people increase their check-in on the internet by 15 to 20%, searching for Egypt, for Luxor, for the parade, for the mummies, for the museums, you know, then that means that tourism will increase by 15 to 20%. And from all the tour operators in the US of A, and in Europe, and in Africa, we get the information all the time that the coming season will be booming, and it will be a win-win situation for everybody who's working in the tourism industry. There will be lots of travelers for several reasons, as a matter of fact. People were not able to travel because of the pandemic of the COVID for quite some time. They were not able to travel, and but now, since they opened the doors, and now that Egypt released all the I would say the obstacles of coming here, and I mean, I think things would be, I mean, because of the pandemic, all those regulations that was because of the pandemic, now that will be inviting more for the travelers to come to Egypt. And as I just say now, the reservations and the bookings for the coming season, inshallah, starting of September, has been booming, and we are expecting a good season, and that will be going for the couple of years, for the coming couple of years, as a matter of fact. And that's because of all the activities that has been done for the last couple of years. So for sure, the internet and the search engine and people going on the internet and checking works. And again, this kind of Instagramic tours. I just want to mention that as we're talking today, there is a family from the United States that are staying in one of the hotels in Cairo, because I've been told not to mention the name of the hotels, you know. So of course, yeah. So so it's in one of the hotels, and they came here. You know what? One of the main reasons they came here is to go to Saqqara and to go and have a look at the new discoveries there. So there will be private opening, and they will see all the new areas that has been discovered, and you know, imagine. And they want to take the picture there. And when I talk to them, and they, I mean, this has been a lifetime trip. I mean, a dream that they always wanted to do.
So. And now, I mean, promoting for a place could be way much better. There are, I mean, different channels for promoting destinations that are way far more, a little bit different than before. the most official channels now are through social media and digitalized. Since we are have already been through digitalizing the whole world and all our sectors and institutions worldwide. I mean, touristic institution and touristic sector and the e-banking and education, digital education and everything. Also, tourism have become digital. So, searching a place or deciding where to spend your vacation should be through the social media or be online, is also digitalized.
That's true.
Talk to us about the importance of the searching engines for choosing a destination, and how come that Egypt have registered or ranked to be one of the top destinations on the search engines. How important is that particular information?
Well, this information reflects all the activities that has been going on in Egypt, starting from the workers who are working in the tombs and working on the sites, and I'm talking about working with their hands, and all the Egyptologists and the archaeologists and all the managers and everybody who is in the antiquities department, Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, and everybody who is in the tourism section or the tourism ministry. It's a total teamwork, and people, I mean, to come out with this product, people, when they go on Google, for instance, or on the search engine, and they write Luxor, or they write Egypt, and it just comes to them what's going on. They don't even need to. Just go on the internet now as we speak and go and see what's going to happen. You'll find lots of events that has been happening in Egypt. I mean, you just go on the internet and you see they're talking about new discoveries in Saqqara, new discoveries in Luxor, new discoveries here and there. For the last couple of years, day in and day out, there have been a new discovery, a new excavation. And this is quite a brilliant idea. And why is that? Because this keeps Egypt on the news all the time. You know, keeps Egypt on the news and keeps Egypt, it's free advertisement. You don't need to pay for it. You know, what happens is when all the TV or the media people go to the site, to the new announcements, you know, in Luxor, in the west bank of Luxor, in the east bank of Luxor, in restoring the Avenue of the Sphinx in Luxor again. So imagine all those activities. People say, oh, we see Egypt. I mean, we meet those people. It's not actually a study or something. It's just we meet people face to face, and they say, we've been seeing Egypt on the news all the time. We've been seeing these new discoveries. We've been seeing Dr. Zahi Hawass, for instance. They talk about Dr. Zahi Hawass, and they say the famous Egyptologist, Dr. Zahi Hawass, we've been seeing him announcing. He is a good advertisement for the country, of course, and a brand. And I mean, people see him and say, we have been seeing him. And so that is an added value for tourism in Egypt, and would encourage more people to come. Imagine in the past, people used to talk about Omar Sharif, you know, and I mean, whenever there's an event and they say Omar Sharif, then his name immediately comes with Egypt, you know. So I would say it's the same thing, you know. People now know Luxor because of the ceremonies that happened. People now know the museums because they talk about the mummies, and they look and they see museums and they say, oh, Egypt opened new museums in El Menia, in Daqahliya, in Sharm el-Sheikh, and in Cairo. The gem that's going to be opened hopefully in next November, which will be an incredible ceremony, you know, and will attract all the eyes of travelers all over the world to this big ceremony. So it will be an added, also added value for tourism. And the hotels would be fully booked, and the cruises, and so I think the coming seasons will be promising. as a specialist in tourism and from eyeballing all what's going on, I think that Egypt will be on the traveling map, strongly on the traveling map for the coming at least couple of years or 3 years. That's the harvesting of all what have been going on for the last 5-6 years, I would say.
Right. Talking about the sustainability of that particular level, Egypt retaining its, priority, one of the main priorities in tourism, and it's one of the leading roles in destinations, or leading destinations when it comes to choosing a place to spend your vacation. How to be able to sustain this place and this particular distinguished ranking amongst the best destinations worldwide?
Sustainability is very important, and it's the trend. And it's not only in tourism. They're talking about sustainability now in everything. Sustainability in economy, sustainability in agriculture, sustainability in development. They say the development, the sustainable plan for development for the coming for 2030, sustainability, everything. Sustainability mainly is when we come to tourism and the tourism industry is to protect the sites and maintain it and get the utmost of it for the benefit of the local community, and also keeping it well preserved for the generations to come. Well, sustainability works in different aspects or different channels: economical, socio-economical, and environmental, and also in socio-environmental. So when we talk about economical, people, when they travel and visit the sites, they actually spend the money. I mean, so that's good for the economy. You create jobs for people who live in the site, I mean, closer to the sites. So the most important thing is to try to engage the local community more to the sites. That's one of the main elements of sustainability. If we took, if you take an item like, let's say, Coptic Cairo, or what we would say Old Cairo today, there are lots of people who live there in this religious complex. We need to engage more the local community in the tourist business by giving them new jobs, by training them, by increasing local industries or local crafts, for instance. And this would make people caring more or care more about the sites and about protecting the sites and taking care of it. I did a survey during studying the PhD of sustainable tourism, and the survey in one of the places like Old Cairo, for instance, most of them said that they want to get involved in the tourism formula more. So we need to, and people want jobs. So tourism need to create jobs to the local community more. Egypt is known for lots of foods and lots of cuisine. The Egyptian cuisine is very famous. So sometimes when we are going on the tour and we visit, let's say, Old Cairo and the Egyptian Museum, if people want to have a bite, want to grab a bite, or want to have a snack, or want to eat something, when we are in this area of the religious complex, we don't really have enough places. So why don't we make new restaurants, create new restaurants with Egyptian food, and then give a chance to the local community to work in these new restaurants, you know, so train them, and so that will be good for their economy. Also, the idea of the Airbnb, we can help the local community to I mean, create homes or to maintain their houses to accommodate travelers. Not all the travelers want to go to the fancy hotels, or sometimes people want to travel and stay with families. And this is the trend worldwide. It's happening now in Aswan, for instance, and in Luxor. Why don't we follow those steps and we increase it and do it more in Old Cairo, or in the Islamic, in the religious complex in Old Cairo. So imagine when there are foreigners who are staying with the local community, you know, that will be a chance. So they would be exposed to different civilizations, will be good for their economy, maybe will be good for their education, you know, and so on and so forth. So those are two examples of what we can do. And again, as I'm sitting with you today, Dina, I remember a speech on TV that I have seen in the 90s of Dr. Boutros Ghali, the Egyptian head of the United Nations, when he said...
Secretary General?
The Secretary General of the United Nations in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. And he was talking about opening the doors for different civilizations and allowing them to come here, because Egypt is a great civilization. It's a civilization that lasted for 7,000 years, you know. So and all the other civilizations melted in the Egyptian society. We're talking about the ancient Egyptian pharaonic civilization. We're talking about the Greco-Roman civilization. We're talking about the Byzantine civilization. We're talking about the Islamic or the Arab civilization that came here 1400 years ago. And then we're talking about the Turks that stayed here for like 600 years during the Ottoman Empire. And then we're talking about the British, the French first, and then the British. So all those civilizations melted in the Egyptian society and got affected by the Egyptian society, but did not change it and did not change anything in it. And travelers, when they come here, they say, well, the British have been here for like 75 years. We still drive on the left side of the road. We don't drive on the right side. So this even has not been changed. So this is a great civilization. And any other civilization worldwide, when they come here, they just melt in this civilization. And we see it and eyeball it all the time. So why not?
In other words, you're trying to say that we are a country that you can never feel as a stranger.
That's right.
We are a country that is distinguished by cosmopolitan background.
Absolutely.
That is a mecca for all cultures.
Absolutely.
And a hub that would accept all different the others and differences between people and different races and everything.
Yes, it's a melting point.
It's a melting point, right? So how is that affecting us as a destination for people to choose to visit, to choose to live to live forever, or to choose to start business, invest in this country?
This is, a great question, because it's as if you've been on the tour. I mean, people always ask, can we buy apartments here? Can we invest here? If we want to start a project, what are the regulations? It is an inviting country. We need to do, site-wise and archaeological site-wise and climate-wise and location-wise. We have all the elements. We have all the elements. We just need to work more on the regulations and open the door more for different countries to come and invest in Egypt. And I don't know, not being a specialist in economy, but maybe facilitate more the regulations and for investment, and that will be good for the economy and open the door for the foreign investors, instead of putting obstacles and routine and all the bureaucracy. I think it's better to open the doors and invite the foreigners to come and invest, and that will be good for the economy, good for the people, and good for the quality of life. If I can say that.
Right. Talking about digitalization, how far has it changed the face of like everything else, it has changed the face of economy, like I earlier said, the face of education, the face of finance, the face even of politics.
Yes.
And even health, it has changed health sectors. So how far has it changed the face of cultural activities and in particular tourism? There is no doubt that the tools of that change the map of tourism are not like before, and digitalization is on top of these tools. You name it, in terms of museums, in terms of touristic tours, in terms of festivities, in terms of all the touristic activities. Talk to us in detail about how have the new millennium digitalized tourism. In what way?
The new millennium digitalized tourism in different aspects. Now, traveler can take a picture in the site or on the site, and in a fraction of a second, the picture can be on the internet, and everybody can see it. So all his friends, and I follow with the social media all the time, and travelers, when they post a picture and they have lots of followers, for instance, people would say, "Oh, you're in Egypt. Are you with the mask of King Tutankhamun? Is this a picture of the pyramids? Isn't that amazing? I mean, are you in El Alamein? Are you in Sharm el-Sheikh?" And you know, and people talk and write, and their followers comment. The word of mouth is very important. A word of mouth is better than an essay in a newspaper, and better than anything. So when they do that and people talk to each other, that helps to increase tourism. So for sure, that's one item of digitalization. Egypt is not the traveler's mother's Egypt or their grandmother's Egypt that they have been seeing. I mean, their mothers and their grandparents, and they have been coming to Egypt for the cruise and for the Nile cruise and Agatha Christie kind of type of traveling in a steamship, and you know, this is what's in the imagination of the travelers. Now Egypt is different. We are in new Egypt, really, in honest. You can see that Egypt is changing, and with all the roads they're building. Imagine now you can go from the Giza pyramids to Saqqara in 15 minutes. You know what I mean? You can go from Saqqara, vice versa. You can go from Saqqara through the new road that the government has done in only 15-20 minutes. We don't need to go through the traffic. So people who talk about the traffic, we don't need to go through that. We can take those new roads that they're building, so that facilitated. And from the pyramids to the Gem, from the pyramids to the Nemek, connecting the Gem, the Grand Museum, to the pyramids, to Saqqara. So, so this is all good for tourism, as you know. Back to digitalization. It's those Instagramic tours. People are now attracted with the pictures. They go travel somewhere, they put a picture on the internet or on Instagram, and people see it, and it's very inviting. A picture worth 1,000 words. So, and I think Egypt is doing a great steps in that. Plus, the internet in Egypt is available. I mean, every house now has an internet. I walk in the street and everybody is on their phones and on the internet, and so internet is available. Not all the countries have this, I think, privilege, because everybody now can go on the internet, can share pictures and so on and so forth. We are 120 million here, imagine. So we actually make a difference, I think, on the internet. I mean, when there's something that happens in Egypt, it goes on the internet, because even if we just shared this information domestically, you know, that will make a difference in the internet worldwide. Because, you know, when you go on the search engine, it depends upon the number of people who went on the internet searching for the same topic. So imagine 120 million here. Let's say 50 million only. Let's say 40 million. Let's say no, 30 million people in Egypt, 30 million Egyptians will go check about the new discoveries in Saqqara, or we'll go check about the site here, or the parade that you were talking about of the Mummies Parade, or about the Sphinx Avenue and the ceremony in Luxor of the Sphinx Avenue. Imagine this will make a difference and will keep Egypt on the internet. So the digitalization really helped Egypt and will help tourism and increase tourism.
Are we prepared, or have we? Of course, we are prepared. So, how far do you estimate, or how far do you assess our fitness to be able to compete in that particular domain, digitalization? How far are we able to digitalize and prepare ourselves to be able to promote for ourselves, to put ourselves or effect ourselves over the digital map, to stand up in a new vision for the whole world, for those who are eager to visit Egypt, to mark ourselves strongly on the digital map for people to notice us in different domains. You have talked about gastronomy and the Egyptian cuisine. We have the cultural events and the conference tourism. We have the health tourism. We have many types of tourism. We have the summer season, even the summer tourism, which is one of the best and most requested.
Yes.
Talk to us about that in detail.
I will start with the summer tourism. And you notice you don't see our friends and families from the Gulf countries in Cairo as we used to see them in big numbers before. The thing is now they go to the North Coast and they go to Al Alamein and they go to the summer resort. So they come to Cairo, or they come to Al Alamein, or they come to the North Coast and they spend their vacation and holidays there. I have seen lots of people from the Gulf countries who had videos, who shared videos on the internet about Al Alamein as a new resort that's very impressive. They call it the new Riviera, the Egyptian Riviera. Has been talking about Sharm el-Sheikh, has been talking about all those new hotels that have been building in the North Coast, and so this that's again digitalization, and that also is putting Egypt on the map. That's if we talk about our friends from the Gulf countries, from Saudi Arabia or from United Arab Emirates, or they just love to travel and they love Egypt and they love to come here. They love our food. They love our beaches, the resorts, and the sea and the sun, and they like those luxurious hotels also in like in Al Alamein or in the North Coast and this and that. So that's one of the big items if we're talking about the summer tourism. The other thing is Egypt has been already one of the top 6-7 countries worldwide for travelers, like destinations, appealing for travelers. So imagine how we are also with this internet revolution, or with the digitalization that you were talking about. We are there already. We just need to work more on it. And even the sites, we can have a connection between the different government sites that would serve and help with tourism. So that's what I would say. It would encourage tourism more. The last thing is just maybe will be also interesting is those palaces. The palaces in Egypt.
This was going to be my other question to you. The palaces over here in Egypt and the new renovated ones throughout the year, and all the palaces that are presented to visitors and have opened their doors for foreigners to come and take a look at. If you like to talk about it.
The government has been working hard on protecting the heritage of Egypt, and the Baron Empon Palace that has been restored and open the doors for the visitors. Now, travelers would like to come and because it looks very elaborate, so people like to go visit the Baron Impem Palace, for instance, and the government also opened the Abdeen Palace and opened the museums of the Abdeen Palace and opened the doors for the Abdeen Palace for the travelers. So that's another kind of tourism. So we need to work more on restoring those palaces and on maintaining the palaces to keep them well preserved and to keep them well protected, because this is part of the heritage of the country. I know that sometimes the owners of the palace would like to maybe invest in it or one way or another, but yet there are palaces that should be protected more, and we need to take care of them and restore them and maintain them, especially that travelers now are staying longer nights in Cairo and in Luxor and in Aswan. People are not now staying only two nights in Cairo and a 4-night cruise. No, people now would stay 3-4 nights in Cairo. They would go on the cruise. They stay 2 or 3 nights in Luxor to be able to see all the sites. So it's not as the same. There are travelers who stay here for a month easily. They come and they stay for 20 days or for a month. So the palaces would not be an inviting element for people who first comes to Egypt or the first travelers to Egypt, but it will be a great attraction for the repeater travelers. People have been to different sites and want to come back, then they talk about or think about those palaces to visit.
Right. We only have a few moments left, but in 2 moments, if you would like to invite people to come and see the new Republic, a new Egypt. We're now talking on a totally different Egypt.
Yep.
We have the old Egyptian history and with all its richness, and the new Egypt and the new Republic.
Yes.
What would we say?
If I'm inviting people to come, and I would always say, come to Egypt and see the new museums that have been opened. Come and visit the GEM, the Grand Egyptian Museum of Civilization. Come and see the new discoveries in Saqqara. Come and see the new museums that have been opened. Come and go to Al Alamein and see Al Alamein as a new resort and these fancy hotels. Come and spend longer time in Luxor and see the new tombs that have been opened. Come and see the new sites that have been opened in Aswan. Come and see the new places that have been opened in Sharm el-Sheikh, and the new museums in Kafr Sheikh, and the new museum in even Al Alamein. Come and see new Egypt or the new Republic. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy it, and it will be a lifetime trip. But not only this, but when you go back, tell more people to come and see the country.
Right, Dr. Amr Atef, travel expert, PhD in Heritage and Museum Studies. We'd like to thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming to Windows and Current Events.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Our pleasure. And by this, we come to the end of this edition of Windows on Current Affairs. And until we see you again next week, that's a goodbye.